Hey guys, my name's Alicia, and if you didn't know, I sell vintage and secondhand clothing on the apps Depop and Poshmark, and every month I make a video talking about what I sold and how much money I made. So today we're going to be talking about what sold in the month of January 2022. And let me tell you, this has been one of my best months ever. Typically, January is generally a really slow season, you know, especially just in retail in general. But somehow I managed to make 30 sales in total this month, which is definitely on the higher end for me. At the end of this video, I am going to go a little bit more in detail about why I think I got so many sales this month. But firstly, let's just get into what sold. So I actually ended up selling 14 items on Depop, 8 on Poshmark, and 8 on Instagram. Now, if you've been watching my recent months, Poshmark was kind of taking the lead in terms of sales, but this month Depop really took the lead. So a really interesting switch there. And hear me out, I think the reason why is because Depop's demographic is definitely a lot younger, you know, teenagers, young adults, whereas Poshmark is a little bit older. So after Christmas, all of the young people typically have a lot more disposable income to spend, whereas, you know, all the moms and older people out there just spent a ton of Christmas and are probably trying not to spend much money in January. So I definitely think that is a part of the reason why Depop performed so well this month. In Instagram, I made a ton of sales on Instagram this month, and that is because I've actually started doing weekly story sales on my Instagram, so that's certainly helped. And before we get into it, I do want to remind you guys that I do have my own clothing pickup service, so a lot of the clothing that I sell doesn't have like a cost associated with it technically, so unless otherwise stated, just assume there's no cost associated with the item. But anyways, let's get into what sold in January. So even though we're talking about what sold in January, I did want to mention one last item that I ended up selling in December that I didn't get to mention just because I filmed it on the last day of the month, and then I had one more sale come in like at night. So I'm not going to include this in all my totals at the end, but I did want to mention it. And it was actually this Gap green hoodie that actually somebody purchased like right before midnight on New Year's Eve. And it ended up selling on Depop. Now these hoodies are pretty popular. That's why I wanted to include it in this video. Definitely something you want to be on the lookout for. It had the big Gap like embroidered lettering on the front, and it was actually made from this kind of nice, not like Sherpa, but I guess more the texture of sweater that I'm wearing right now, in a really nice green color. I think the girl asked me for a deal, so I ended up selling it to her for $35 in total. I did pick this item up from the thrift store, so it did cost me $4.50, which is actually pretty cheap for a sweater. So at the end of the day, I made $12.54. If you guys didn't know, my goal is generally to make at least $10. So this was above it, so I was totally happy with that. So now let's get into 2022. So the very first thing I sold was actually a bundle. This one's kind of interesting because I ended up selling this Grateful Dead Love and Peace tee and these Wrangler 909 vintage jeans. Now, if you guys watched my December what sold, you might be thinking, wait a second, didn't you already sell that Grateful Dead t-shirt? And basically, this is what happened. So on the very last day of the month, that's when I ended up selling that t-shirt. And because I was in the middle of filming my video, it completely slipped my mind to mark it as sold on Depop, which typically I do right away, and I've never had an issue with it. And because I forgot to mark it as sold on Depop, the next day somebody actually ended up buying it on Depop and purchased it in a bundle with these Wrangler jeans. This has never happened to me before. Typically I'm really on top of marking the items as sold on other platforms, and usually things don't sell that quickly for me. So this is the first time it happened to me, and I was in a bit of a predicament, right? Because on one hand, I would have just honored whichever sale came on first, but in this particular case, the person on Depop actually ordered a bundle. So if I were to cancel that one, I would have lost the sale of the Wrangler jeans too. So I genuinely felt really bad, but I ended up canceling that Poshmark order. I've had people cancel Poshmark orders on me before. It's not a fun feeling, but in this case, I just couldn't lose that bundle sale on Depop. So that's basically what happened. Let me know what you guys would have done in that situation. Definitely a little bit more complicated. Of course, the person on Poshmark got their money back and everything, so that's not an issue, of course. But anyways, on Depop, I ended up selling that bundle for $84.98, free shipping because it was a bundle. I did actually pay $9.02 for the jeans at the thrift store, which is actually a pretty good deal for jeans. So at the end of the day, I ended up making $49.97 off of those two items, which is obviously an amazing profit, you know. That's like over $20 profit per item. So I was super happy about that. So next I had, I think, my first story sale of the month on Instagram. So I made a couple Instagram sales. The first one was a bundle of my Tommy Hilfiger handmade patchwork bucket hat and my polo bears. bucket hat. So I ended up selling those in a bundle for $70. I actually ended up doing a letter mail for this one just because since I'm doing it through Instagram, I feel a lot more comfortable offering letter mail. That way, if anything were to go wrong, I can kind of handle things on my own. So shipping was super cheap. I only paid $3.60 to ship these two items. And at the end of the day, I made $66.40. So a little over $30 per hat. These hats do take me quite a bit of time to make, so I was really happy to see that profit, but sometimes I wonder like if it's even worth it. Next on Instagram, I sold this vintage blue purple striped button up. I ended up selling it for $20, and because this person lived in my city, they're actually one of my friends, instead of shipping it, I actually just dropped it off at their house. I didn't have to pay for shipping or anything, so at the end of the day, I made just $20 straight profit, so obviously another amazing profit margin. Next on Depop, I actually ended up selling this Tommy Hilfiger blue striped sweater. It's really funny because when I very first started my Depop shop, this was one of the first items I ever purchased with intent to sell. And it's kind of been through a bit of a roller coaster because no one was interested in it at first when I first listed on Depop. Then I decided I wanted to keep it for myself. Then I ended up making like a thrift video with it. So it's been through a whole life cycle of its own. But I finally decided to part with it. I think that was with my fall closet clean out video. And it actually sold pretty quickly. So I ended up selling it for $30 plus $10 shipping. Technically, I did pay for this item like a long time ago. But back then, I did not keep a very good system or track of like how much each item was. So I honestly don't remember how much I paid for this. But obviously at this point, I was just trying to get rid of it. So I wasn't going to count the cost of goods. But shipping ended up being really expensive for this item. So at the end of the day, I only made $13.63, which still above my goal. So very happy with that. Then next on Depop, I sold this black floral maxi skirt. Maxi skirts have actually been doing so good on my shop recently, so I've definitely been on the lookout for them more. This one I actually bought for my trip to Paris and wore it there, but decided it was time to like move on with it. So I ended up selling it for $34.99 plus $9.99 shipping. It did cost me $5.63 at the thrift store. So at the end of the day, I made $14.86, which still happy about. Next on Depop, I sold these Run and Fly flare jeans. I ended up selling them for $34.99 plus $10 shipping. And at the end of the day, I made $20.85. So super happy with that. Honestly, guys, I killed it with my profit margins this month, which is one of the reasons why I think this is going to be a really good month. A lot of them were like up there in the 20s. So you'll kind of notice this trend as we continue. So next on Depop, I sold this really cute vintage Disney Mickey turtleneck. Typically, I'm not like on the lookout for Disney, but when I saw this one in the thrift store, I was like, this is so cute. Like someone's definitely gonna like this. So I ended up selling it for $40 plus $10 shipping. It did cost me $9.02 at the thrift store. So at the end of the day, I made $21.25. So once again, an amazing profit margin for just a single item. So then next on Instagram, from another story sale, I sold these vintage silver jeans overalls. These were really cool. I honestly considered keeping them for myself, and they were getting really popular. On Depop, they had quite a few likes. And actually a couple people had kind of messaged me and were kind of interested in them, but they ended up selling on Instagram. So I ended up selling them for $50. Once again, I didn't have to ship this item. I was able to just like drop it off to the customer, so I didn't even have to pay shipping. They did cost me $10.72 at the thrift store, so at the end of the day, I made $39.28. So obviously, very good margin for a pair of overalls. Honestly, overalls have also been doing really well on my shop lately. I think I just recently sold out of all of the ones I had, so definitely another thing that I will be keeping a lookout for. So next on Depop, I sold these Bugle Boy vintage patch jeans. You may have seen me pick them up in one of my thrift with me's. These ended up selling super quickly. I sold them for $40 plus $10 shipping. Because I picked them up at the pay by the pound store, I actually ended up only paying $2.36 for them, which is really good, obviously. So at the end of the day, I made $26.95. So super good. Very happy about that one. So then next I sold a bundle on Depop. Lots of bundles this month, which I love. And it was for these Shein shiny bike shorts and this blue striped sweater. The blue striped sweater was actually just kind of like part of my own collection, and I realized it was kind of an impulse buy and I wasn't really wearing it, so I figured might as well list it on Depop. And it actually ended up selling so quick, was not expecting that. So I ended up selling that bundle for $45, including shipping. I did pay $7.33 for the sweater. A little pricey, but I was kind of intending on keeping it for myself, so I wasn't really thinking about profit margins. But at the end of the day, I still made $14.21 off of both those items. So definitely didn't meet my goal per item there, but like I mentioned, this wasn't something I was actually intending to sell from the beginning, so to make any sort of profit off of it, I was totally happy with that. So next on Poshmark, I sold this huge bundle, which actually included 5 items, which I was so happy about, and I was happy to finally make a Poshmark sale. This was about like halfway through the month, I think, so it was nice to like finally see some Poshmark sales come in. But I ended up selling this Aritzia Wilfred pink tee, these Levi's vintage 619 jeans, this Bart Simpson skull tee, this Wilfred free gray flowy tank, and this vintage wool sweater vest. So I really like giving people really good discounts on bundles, so I ended up selling all of those items for $124. The jeans did cost me $11.28. So at the end of the day, I made $84.70. So that ends up being about $16 per item, which was totally amazing. I was really happy with that, especially for a bundle. So then next on Depop, I sold this Family of Ted's rework jacket. This was one of my recent jackets that I made this month. Definitely one of my favorites. I just have like a soft spot for teddy bears, and this ended up selling so quickly. Usually my jackets take a little bit of time to sell just because they are a little pricier. I think the person actually ended up sending me an offer of like $5 off or something, which I thought was totally fine. I accepted it, so I ended up selling it for $100 including shipping. Shipping's always a little pricier for these items because they are bulkier, so shipping was about 20 bucks. And I did end up paying $18.05 for both the jacket and the pillow I used to rework it. So at the end of the day, I made $49.55, which I was totally happy with. Once again, really good profit for just a single item. Obviously, it does take me time to rework them, but it's not too complicated, so that price is totally worth it. So next, I actually made another sale on Instagram, and it was actually one of my viewers who ended up buying something, so thank you so much if you're watching. But they ended up buying these Tommy Hilfiger patch jeans, which you would have seen me pick up in one of my thrift hauls once again. Another item that moved pretty quickly, like I bought them this month and they sold in the same month, so that's really good for me. So I ended up selling them for $30 plus $12 shipping. Shipping ended up being a little bit more expensive than that, and then I did end up paying $2.36 for the jeans at the Pay by the Pound store. So at the end of the day, I made $25.72. So once again, still an amazing profit. Was really happy about that. So then next on Poshmark, I actually sold this camo army jacket. Funny story about this one, I've been meaning to list this on like Depop and Poshmark for like a really long time now, and I've taken photos of it before and then just like never got around to listing it for some reason. I think because I kind of like deep down wanted to keep it and thought I would wear it, but I genuinely have never worn this item. I actually bought it back in high school, so if that tells you anything, it's been a long time with no wear, so I decided to finally sell it. Somebody actually ended up sending me an offer for $22, so I accepted that. So at the end of the day, I actually ended up making $17.03, so that was amazing. Honestly, did not expect that to sell so quickly. Like, I wasn't sure if camo jackets are still in, so happy to see that go. Then next on Depop, I made another bundle sale. It was of this blue ribbed t-shirt and this edgy comic graphic tee. I ended up selling that bundle for $44.98, including shipping. So at the end of the day, I made $23.87. So still made it over my goal, and especially for just some t-shirts, I was totally happy with that. So then next on Instagram, I sold another pair of Bugle Boy jeans. That's the second pair of Bugle Boy jeans that I picked up and sold this month, so that was amazing. Love Bugle Boy, will definitely be keeping an eye out for it. So I ended up selling them for $30. Didn't have to ship this item just because this was one of my friends who bought it, so I'm just going to drop it off at their house. I did pay $7.10 at the thrift store for these, so at the end of the day, I still made $22.90, so that was awesome. Then another sale on Instagram, I actually ended up selling this Jessica vintage green floral dress. If you watched my thrift with me video, I was actually intending on keeping this for myself because I have a wedding coming up, so I was gonna like wear it to the wedding. But I feel like my story sale was kind of lacking, and I was like, might as well throw it up there, see what happens. I did not expect it to sell right away, but it did. So even though I was really in love with this dress, I figured, you know what? Plenty of other dresses out there. I still have time to find another one, so I'm happy that it ended up selling. So I actually ended up selling this one for $35, and once again, one of my friends bought this, so I didn't end up paying for shipping. The dress did cost me $8.68, so at the end of the day, I made $26.32. Next on Poshmark, actually, I ended up selling these Levi's vintage dark red tab blue jeans. These actually sold like the same day that I posted them, like probably within the hour, which was so surprising. I actually ended up selling a ton of vintage jeans this month, which I don't know what's in the air, but people are suddenly like more into them, I guess. So I ended up accepting an offer for $45. They did cost me $12.64, so at the end of the day, I made $22.19. So once again, amazing profit. Probably could have made more if I waited a little longer, but I thought that was totally fair. Then next on Instagram, a very popular item ended up selling, and it was this Sailor Moon embroidered denim vest. Another item that sold really quickly, like a couple days within when I posted it. And this once again was sold to one of my viewers, so thank you so much. I hope you love it. Definitely a super cool, unique piece, so understand why it was so popular. I ended up selling it for $25 plus $5 shipping. Once again, I did do letter mail, and shipping actually ended up costing $5, so that worked out well. I did pay $5.52 for this vest, so at the end of the day, I made $19.46. Super happy about that. Then on Poshmark, I actually sold another pair of vintage jeans, this time Lee ones. I think I was sending out discounts, so I ended up selling them for $45. I did pay $10.38 for them at the thrift store, so at the end of the day, I made $20.49. So super happy about that. Definitely gonna need to stock back up on my vintage jeans because that was like pretty much all the rest that I had. And then right at the very end of the month, I ended up selling a bundle. And the bundle was of my Dachshund Pups reworked denim jacket and these Madewell flare overalls. So that was a really amazing sale right at the end of the month, so I was super happy about that. And to sell another one of my reworked jackets, that was amazing. And what I ended up finding out later is that this customer has actually already purchased 3 different jackets from my shop. So I was like blown away by that. They're actually the same person who ended up buying the teddy bear one this month as well. So it's just so cool and made me so happy to know that like somebody loves my jackets so much that they would actually want to own 3 of them. That was amazing. I was also really happy to see these Madewell overalls go because I've actually had them listed for quite a while and I was getting kind of nervous because they didn't have quite as much interest as I thought they would. And I did end up paying up for them at the thrift store, so super happy about this sale. So I ended up selling that whole bundle for $160.98, including shipping. Between the jacket and the overalls, I actually ended up paying $37.37 for the cost of goods. Shipping was of course a little pricey, so at the end of the day, I made $81.10. So once again, an amazing profit for only 2 items. I was so happy that this was my final sale of the month right on the last day. Okay, so that's everything that I ended up selling in the month of January. So now I'm gonna go ahead and calculate everything to find out how much money I made this month. I have a good feeling about this one. So guys, this month I actually ended up making $680.73. Wow, I'm so surprised. I did not expect this. I think this is officially the best month I have ever had. And I'm so surprised that it happened in January because January is typically like one of my slowest months of the year. So if this is kind of like a determination of how the rest of the year is going, I'm so excited to see what comes. Now, I also like to calculate my average profit per item, and that came out to about $22.69 per item. So that's more than double my goal. So I think I did a really good job of like pricing my items this month and sourcing for cheaper in order to increase my profit margin. So that was amazing. Definitely something I'm going to try to move forward with, and definitely is a reason why I did so good this month. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, there's definitely a few reasons why I think I did so well. Like I mentioned before, for one, I started doing story sales on my Instagram. So adding another kind of like platform to sell on, which kind of allows you to like reach out to a different demographic than who's on Depop and Poshmark. I think that is really helpful, and also allows you to be more active and more present and have people kind of like find you through Instagram. So that was definitely one of the reasons why I did so well. The second reason, and most important one, I think, is this month, if you haven't noticed, I have been doing weekly thrift with me videos where I've been thrifting for inventory every single week, and therefore I have been doing basically weekly drops. I am not much of a risk taker, like at all. So in the past, when people talked about how important it was to, you know, constantly be sourcing and like listing items on your shop, I always had my doubts because I was always really afraid that, you know, I would be spending more money on inventory than I would be selling. So I've always been very weary of this, but now doing it myself and seeing the outcome of it, I now realize how important it is to be consistently listing on your shop. Before, I would just do like random drops, like maybe like once a month or something like that. And that just really didn't help with the kind of like flow of my shop. But yeah, I don't know if it's something to do with the algorithm on Depop and Poshmark or just the fact that, you know, there's new items for people to buy. I think doing my weekly drops has really helped with this. And my goal with this was to only spend like 10 to 20% of my net profits from December. That way, like it wouldn't be as much of a risk, right? And I feel like that worked out really well because I definitely made way more money than I invested in my inventory. So I'm so happy with the outcome of kind of like this risk that I decided to take, and I'm definitely going to continue this throughout the rest of the year, and I can't wait to see, you know, hopefully how much better each month does. And one more thing I want to talk about is that Depop actually had a few really interesting updates this month, which could also be another reason why Depop performed so well for me this month. But the first thing is that they added this new feature where it shows you how many people have an item in their bags. So when somebody's like added something to their cart, basically, when you click on an item, you can see how many people have that item in their cart. So I personally love this. I feel like it just creates, you know, a little bit of competition between customers and kind of like gives customers a realistic idea of like, hey, there's some other eyes on this item, like you might want to buy it soon if you're actually interested in it. So I thought that was really interesting, really like that addition. The other major update that was added is that Depop now allows offers on items. So similar to Poshmark, you can actually go in and send an offer on an item that you like. And if somebody offers you something, you'll get a notification and then you'll see under your offers how much they offered the item for. Now, the only difference here and the thing that's really annoying is that when you accept that offer, it doesn't automatically charge the customer. The customer then has to decide if they actually want to buy your item after. So there's been a couple offers that I've had success with and then a couple that have kind of like fallen through. And my other issue with this is that most of the offers I accept are based on shipping prices. So if I know somebody is located in the same province as me, I'm obviously more willing to lower the price for them because I know shipping's gonna be cheaper. So more often than not, when somebody sends me an offer, I still have to go and DM them and say, hey, like what province do you live in? I want to see if I can accept your offer. So it's not like the most streamlined that way, unfortunately. But overall, I still honestly really like the idea of offers on Depop. So some people have been having some questions about offers on Depop, specifically like if you can bundle a couple items and then send an offer. And the truth is, I don't really know because even though I've been able to accept a bunch of people's offers, I don't know if it's because I'm on Android or something, but I cannot figure out for the life of me how to make an offer on someone's item. But as of right now, I'm assuming that you can only send offers on like a per item basis. But that pretty much does it for the month of January 2022. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to anybody who has purchased something this month. And hopefully this video is helpful to kind of show you guys what items you should be on the lookout for and kind of like what they sell for. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you next week.